Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 8, that one, of Season 4 of the F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, where today we're here back for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Now obviously if you missed out on the last video that went live from Monaco over the weekend, I would definitely recommend going back and checking it out. The Monaco Grand Prix, brutal enough in its own right, it's safe to say, in the F1 world. Unfortunately, yeah, last weekend's Grand Prix was made even more difficult by a couple of durability and reliability issues on the car. But yeah, that is all I'll leave it with for just a moment. Obviously, if you want to go check that video out, yeah, definitely worth doing so. As well as, obviously, if you're new around here, do make sure you get yourself subscribed as well. Obviously, I know a huge percentage of this channel's viewers are not subscribed yet. So if you could help me get one step closer to 14,000, it would be greatly appreciated as well then. But yeah, spoilers are going to be now then. I've given you enough time. You can see championship-wise, unfortunately, we got relegated down to P3 in the World Championship after a dominant Mercedes 1-2 at the Monaco Grand Prix there. Bottas now jumps to the top ahead of Albon and myself there, with George Russell and Daniel Ricciardo 4th and 5th there, with Hamilton still having a rough start to his year with the new team. They're down in 6th place there. That means constructors-wise, we're P3, 23 points even, I should say, off Mercedes in the Constructors' battle as well there. But we've had 5 different winners in the first 7 Grand Prix. Albon and Bottas both have got 2 wins apiece. We are still yet to get our first race victory of the year, though. And I know I keep saying it, but when is it going to happen? Could Baku this weekend be the chance we finally get on the top step? Let's dive on into it. Here we are then, once again back at the Baku City Circuit, ready obviously as always for Q2, and as always we're going out first of all on our set of the medium compound tyres. This track's always been quite good to us on F1 2020, and it certainly suits our car this year as well, obviously, where we've got a very good power unit, but just lack a little bit more in the chassis and aero side of things. I am still definitely struggling to get to grips with this car in some places. You could just see almost running into the wall through turn 2 there. Just struggling a bit with front locking, despite having pretty much as far rear a brake bias as possible here on F1 2020. But yeah, we'll see if we can try and get through into Q3 on the mediums. Not essential around this circuit, but always nice just to have that in your back pocket as well. But so far this lap's felt nice and tidy. We'll continue riding on board for now there. As you can just see, struggling a bit with wheel spin in a few places, and around this track obviously you can absolutely shred your rear tyres. That's a lot of curb, but we get away with it. Brake just at the black box, fully committed up through turn 8, almost hit the inside wall in the same way Hamilton did all the way back in 2016. And again, a bit of wheel spin on the exit for good measure. But obviously, as always, we run quite a low aero orientated setup around here, so all of our time is gained through sector 3, so we'll wait and see as to what the times are as we head down in towards the final couple of corners there. Only half a tenth off whoever is currently on provisional pole. Not too sure who that is. So hopefully this has been quite a good lap then as we head through the final couple of corners. And yeah, no idea who is on pole at the moment. But what is the timing going to be? Such a tantalising wait as you head down this huge front straightaway here. It's going to be a 1:37 or 1:37.6. Only in 6th place actually. So he drops a bit of time right at the end there, but that's still a pretty competitive lap. Look at that, yeah, only half a second off provisional pole. So having to go back out then right at the end of the session. Obviously P9 is a bit too close to the cusp for my personal preference there. So we'll go out on another run. Hopefully we can find some time, and then obviously if no one improves, then we can bail out of this lap there. I think we are going to be one of the last cars to get on to a run, but obviously we just need to make sure we keep it nice and tidy. This is a good practice run actually for Q3 as well here, as we try to get a much tidier run through the first couple of corners. Hamilton, a 35.7? Where on earth has he pulled that from? That's like a second and a half clear of anyone else early on in this weekend. Is Hamilton finally back? That is a question I'm certainly asking after that lap. But yeah, we're out of, we're in, sorry, the drop zone. So we know now we just got to try and keep this lap nice and tidy. And we do need to take it all the way to the flag. But can we get anywhere close to that 35.7 that Hamilton's done? We're going to need pretty much 2 seconds on this lap. We're about a second up so far, so it's not out the realms of possibility. Don't hit the wall. Don't hit the wall. That was a bit too close. Ooh, and again, running a bit wide on the exit there. Throwing away a little bit of time. But yeah, so I don't think that 35.7 is impossible, but it will take a mega lap from ourselves to match in Q3. That's obviously if Hamilton can replicate it as well. Now, one more proper corner to go. That was pretty tidy. Use the exit curb as you head out of the final corner, so this should safely see us through into Q3 then. But have we finally got a car that is capable of delivering once again? On paper, we're meant to have had the fastest car all year, but it really hasn't turned out that way in the early stages. Up towards the line, it's going to be a 1:36.0, if I'm not mistaken. That's nice and comfortable into Q3. That's exactly what we needed in the end there. P2 only behind our teammate Lewis Hamilton, who, yeah, an absolute rapid lap coming in from our teammate. 1.4 clear of anyone else. I didn't realise we brought back last season's car to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix there, but Stroll looking very, very quick for Racing Point. Both Racing Points actually getting through into Q3 there. The same cannot be said for Charles Leclerc out in Q2 for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Championship leader Bottas down in 8th after the second qualifying session. But can Hamilton and I get those laps hooked up once again? Getting ready then to start our first Q3 run. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of cars go a lot quicker than they were able to in Q2, but I'm certainly intrigued to see if Hamilton can set another 1:35 around this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Can we do the same? We were half a tenth off at the end of Q2. It's going to take an absolute worldie of a lap, but I'm more than willing to try and put it all on the line to try and get it. We are a little bit close to the Racing Point in front of us. Maybe he can give us a bit of a tow in towards the final, obviously the finish line, but hopefully we won't get too close prior to that. Down in towards the final couple of corners then of our first Q3 run. Hamilton has done another 1:35 there, this time round only a 35.9, as we are definitely not close enough to Sergio Perez to get a noticeable draft out of the final corner there. But yeah, Hamilton once again seems to be on the pace here around the Baku City circuit. We're now on our run to the start-finish line. Yeah, I don't think we're getting anything from Perez. What is it going to be? A 1:35? A 1:36.1. 2/10 off Lewis Hamilton. But we're going to have to definitely go again. Perez up into P3. Racing Point, if you remember famously back in Season 2, were rapid around here out of nowhere. Are we going to see the same thing again 2 years on? Here we go then, getting ready to start our final lap of qualifying. I think the Mercedes and our teammate of Lewis Hamilton have just finished their last runs. Hamilton a 35.5. So we're going to need to find 0.6 of a second if we want to snatch pole position away from our teammate here from the Baku. But can we try and find that time? It's going to require an absolute whirly of a lap here right in the dying stages of the session. We get a fairly tidy run through the first couple of corners, about half a tenth up. But I'll be honest, this 36.1, apart from a few mistakes late on in the lap, felt pretty bang tidy around this circuit. A lot of wheel spin as we head through turn 3. Just goes to show how much we're pushing. Try and find any sort of time we can as we head in through sector 2. Just get the front end turned in. That was a much better run than we got last time around. You can see we're about 0.3 up now. So we are still finding time at the moment. We got one of the Mercedes just in front of us. Not too sure that is, but hopefully they can give us a bit of a tow. But we've Charles Leclerc'd it through the middle sector. That's going to cost us a lot of time through the final couple of corners. But we may as well not give up just yet. We're still only a tenth down on our previous lap here. And if we can get a bit of a slipstream from whichever Mercedes that is, maybe this lap isn't over just yet. I'm sort of clutching at straws, I'll be honest, as again we lose a bit more time in towards the final proper corner of the lap. It is Bottas just in front of us. We do get a much better run out of the final turn. We are going to be a little bit closer to Bottas than we were Perez on our first run, so we might just improve. It's definitely not going to be enough for pole, but it could be enough just to give us a bit of safety at the end of this session here. Look at how slow Bottas is going. So we're definitely getting a handy tow from the Mercedes, but it is pretty much going to be an identical time. We improve, but by 0.006 of a second. In 5th, where has everyone else found the time? 5th place in the... I hadn't even spotted that we dropped down the order. So Hamilton then puts it on pole.
Let's review our top 3 today. Hamilton, Bottas, and Pierre Gasly. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
Pierre Gasly, P3, what on earth's happened there? How on earth has the Frenchman split Mercedes this weekend? But Hamilton, the first pole position for the team since Vietnam, back in round 3 of the season. Bottas, his old teammate, joining him on the front row there. But Pierre Gasly, driver of the day on Saturday, putting that AlphaTauri into P3. George Russell, fourth, my old teammate, starts just in front of us, with Perez, Ricciardo, Stroll, Albon and Verstappen rounding out the top 10. Not a good qualifying for Alex Albon there, but a bit of a mixed up grid then. We definitely have got a bit more pace to give. Could today finally be the day 212 Motorsport is back on top? We've won 1 race this season, back at Bahrain. Let's make it 2 here.
And a warm welcome to you from Azadlik Square, heart of Baku and home, of course, to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With high speeds, tight corners and few runoff zones, many are expecting a safety car here today, so our drivers will have to stay very much on their toes and hopefully away from the barriers. With 20 turns and a length of 3.7 miles, Baku City Circuit in the heart of the Azerbaijan capital is a real test of a driver's endurance, patience and precision. 90-degree corners through Sector 1 lead into a tightening uphill sprint as we start to circle around the old city. Then a 1.4-mile chase flat out through Sector 3 towards the finish line. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Gasly, Russell, Mr. Monaco, and Perez, Ricciardo, Stroll, Albon, and Max Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Daniel Kvyat, and Norris, Ocon, Raikkonen, Nick de Vries, and Antonio Giovinazzi, Matsushita, Magnussen, King, and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
I'm just going to even ignore Jeff's recommendations now of aims we should have in these Grand Prix. But here we are then on the grid, ready in Baku, the Baku City Circuit, 26 laps ahead of us around this daunting, tight racetrack, and it's certainly going to be a good one. Obviously, Baku always provides great action and great racing, and I'm sure today is going to be absolutely no different here. We're going to go aggressive on the fuel. As always, we're going to try the soft, medium strategy this weekend. Soft, hard might be possible, but we'll wait and see as to how we get on. You know, a safety car is likely around here. I'm really intrigued to see what Pierre Gasly can do just in front of us. But P5 wasn't quite where we wanted to be on the grid. Let's just get a nice, tidy first lap. Keep the front wing intact is going to be the first aim. Making up a couple of places here or there if we can as well is always going to be a second. But round 8 of the season then, here from Baku, the 5 red lights are coming on now then. 5 red lights, and it is lights out, and away we go. Not responding too well to lights. Gasly gets off to a good start there. I'm going to look around the outside of Bottas in towards turn 1 as we go 3 wide. Well, I think that's Perez and George Russell there. Perez made the move stick up our inside. We got more cars just on the inside as we try to get the power down. Perez struggling on the inside. There is just a gaggle of cars in front. Hamilton has bolted away though off the start of this Grand Prix as we try and go side by side with Sergio Perez, giving the room on the inside through turn 3. We pull the move off. We're back into P5 there as Bottas, championship leader, has not had a good start all the way down to P4 there as Gasly, P2 behind our teammate Lewis Hamilton on the opening lap of this Grand Prix there. So Hamilton's had a worldly of a start, exactly what he needed. The Mercedes and myself definitely have not though, but the top 2, I'm sure they're very happy in their positions that they're in as we head up in towards the castle section for the first time in this Grand Prix. Nice and calm first time through there. Remember back, I think it was season 1, we binned it going through the castle on the first lap and caused a roadblock when a safety car. Safe to say I don't want to do that again. It was a bit of an embarrassing moment in the My Team career mode there, but heading down in towards Sector 3 on this opening lap, trying to avoid the wheel spin still as we head down the hill. Can we get a good run on Valtteri Bottas at the end of the lap here? Maybe try and make a move work. Move ourselves up a spot by the end of the first lap there. Bottas taking a lot of curb through the final chicane there. We've got a mega run, though, on the Mercedes. Are we going to run out of the ERS, though? As we head down towards the start-finish line, Bottas goes defensive. He squeezes us to the wall, though. Hamilton, obviously, fast lap of the Grand Prix, leads at the end of lap 1. We, though, are up a spot in the end, up at a 4th place, as Bottas thinks about sending it up the inside again through the first corner, but Bottas, we both know full well, you're not doing that. Next up, then, George Russell. Coming towards the end of lap 2, I'm already getting McLaren from this weekend's Grand Prix vibes. A really good start, but they definitely don't have the pace to try and hang on to it in the early stages of this race there. Gasly under a lot of pressure from both myself and our old teammate George Russell as we get a bit of a wobble at the final corner. That's not going to help us out, but hopefully if in the perfect world we'll slingshot past the pair of them there. Russell makes the same mistake Bottas did just one lap ago there. We're all closing in on the AlphaTauri, which does have a very, very good aerodynamic package at the moment in this season there. But is Russell going to be able to make a move work? Hamilton again, another fastest lap. We go even quicker though, down into the 39s as Gasly and Russell go side by side through turn 1. Nowhere for us to go. Just have to sit back and watch and try and get traction out turn 2. Oh, Gasly, what you doing, man? Making a hash of that as we get some wheel spin, get some front wing damage, and that's not going to help us out in this Grand Prix. Bottas will be able to get around us. Trying to look back around the outside of the Mercedes, man. It's all getting a bit chaotic here in Baku, but yeah, we're probably going to have to change the front wing at the pit stop there. We'll see how bad the damage is. Time round though, we've got a much better run on Pierre Gasly in that AlphaTauri. Certainly doesn't seem to have the same top end speed. And we go up the inside in towards the first corner there as we start lap 4. George Russell up at a P2, so the top 3 all consist of people that have drove for us either currently or in the past here in the world of Formula 1. But, you know, we still always want to beat George Russell. He did abandon us for Mercedes. Seems to be a move that, honestly, I think hasn't been as bad as a lot of people thought it would be. After the dominance of our car last year, Mercedes and Red Bull have both really come back swinging in Season 4. But yeah, we might have to try and pit the end of this lap, get the front wing changed, get on some mediums, and really try to grind some laps out. Coming towards the end of lap 4, we've already pulled off a couple of moves. Down the front straight, George Russell getting very, very loose out of the final proper corner of the lap there, so this might be a bit of an easier move than I originally anticipated. But saying that, he's got a lot of top-end speed still in that Williams car, 220 miles an hour. As we head down in towards the first corner, we try to have a look for a move, but not able to get the power down on the exit there. In towards turn 2, obviously we'll get a second bite at this on George Russell, but snagging the fronts there, obviously that front wing damage certainly not helping us out at the moment, and I don't think we're going to be close enough to go for anything here. No, we are certainly not. So that Mercedes definitely still has a fair amount of grunt down the straights there, and George Russell lives to fight another day. We're not really losing any time to our teammate Lewis Hamilton at the end of lap 5 here with the front wing damage, but I want to be gaining time in on him if possible here. But we are going to dive into the pits at the end of this lap. I think George Russell might be doing the same. No, George Russell staying out for another lap here, so I'm intrigued to see which of the AI do dive it in from behind us. Make sure we get it slowed down nice and tidily into the pit lane. Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri joins us on pit road, but I don't think anyone else is really coming in by the looks of it. So we might get stuck in a bit of traffic towards the rear of the field here. Hopefully we'll have some clean air. Obviously getting the front wing changed, just don't want to have to worry about it later on in the Grand Prix there as everyone flies past us. There goes Gasly. 9.3 second stop is not ideal. And we are back out right at the rear of the field here. So now we've got to put our head down and make some overtakes. Good old Nick Latifi trying to defend his position from a car that is miles quicker. Around the outside. See you later, mate. 3 weeks running now we've overtaken Nick Latifi on the track. Not too sure if that's good or bad. And now as we head down in towards the final couple of corners of lap 6, Hamilton, our teammate, into the pit lane. Obviously he's still going to be way out in front of us on the restart here, but can we get a bit of a run on at least one of these cars? There is Giovinazzi right in front of us. We'll look to the inside of the Williams man. Hopefully we can get some slipstream of Matsushita there. And yeah, look at that, the Williams top end speed, absolutely nothing in comparison to ourselves. Matsushita, oh, a big dive. I didn't want to go up the inside of Jordan King there. Bit of panic set in at the last moment, but we are up a couple of places. As you can see, that's Daniel Ricciardo that's come out in front of Gasly and myself there, and as well, I think, as Valtteri Bottas in this Grand Prix. So not ideal at the moment. Our old teammate, Jordan King, trying to go defensive. We'll break at our normal point, get right around the outside. See you later. This as well then, some very, very big split strategies going on at the moment there. Gasly in front of us is on hards, we're on mediums, and Ricciardo is on soft compound tyres, so everyone's splitting up the strategies just a little bit at the moment. We've got yellow flags out, down in towards the final sector of the lap. Not too sure what that was all about as we tried to line up a move on Pierre Gasly. Is someone going slow? I think it's one of the Haas cars. Who is that at the Grand Prix? Nick de Vries, and we've got a safety car. So that's going to give a lot of people a lot of free track in this Grand Prix there. Both the Mercedes and I think that's one of the Renaults has dived it in as well. No, that's the safety car. That was... We'll ignore that. But yeah, that's going to mean that we're going to end up a little bit further down the field. I'm tempted, honestly, to go to hards and try and get to the end. No, we'll stay out for now. Want to be on some quick rubber there. But yeah, that's going to really, really help out quite a few cars. I say that as a Renault is now into the lead of the Grand Prix. Drop below the Delta. But we come out ahead of our title rival Albon, so that's good, but Bottas I think is still in front. We then to go green as we get on to lap 10 of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Hopefully we can try and make a couple of spots on the restart. It's all going to be a bit chaotic. We've got plenty of slower cars just in front of us. One of the Renaults leads the way, ready to go green here from Baku, but let's just try and preempt when we're going to be going. Just slowly closing up a little bit to Pierre Gasly. Let's wait and see. I think we're going about now. Can we get a run on Pierre? There we go, green flag, so we have timed that quite nicely. Oh god, Ricciardo moving around in the braking zone. A bit more than I was hoping he would there, but we do still hold the move up the inside of Pierre Gasly. That got all a little bit close for a moment. Daniel Ricciardo, always last of the late breakers, but didn't realise he was the last mover in the braking zone as well there. But we're back into 11th then. But yeah, hopefully we can just continue to make progress. We've got lap 10, we've got Kimi Räikkönen just in front of us, causing a bit of a train for Ricciardo, Bottas and myself. Hopefully we can try and get the power down out of the final corner and maybe make a move work on at least one of them here. Obviously no DRS just yet in this Grand Prix as we get a little bit close to the wall there. Bottas getting into the wall I think as well there, as we got a world of a run on Daniel Ricciardo as well here. One overtake is about to be pulled off. Bottas just moving around a bit in front of us there. We're going to be 3 wide in towards the first corner. You can't just turn in on me, mate. I've got the wheel there. It's all getting a bit congested in this Grand Prix, but I think we pulled it off. I think we're up into P8 of the Grand Prix. A very robust defence of Valtteri Bottas on the exit there, and a triple overtake. Thank you very much. Back up into P8 of the Grand Prix. We've got Perez and Kvyat. Next car's just up the road here, but Hamilton already now back up into the lead of this Grand Prix. He looks, Hamilton, I think he might be back this weekend. All over the back of Perez and Kvyat here. The racing point seems quite quick, but Danny Kvyat definitely doesn't have the same pace as his teammate this weekend around these Baku city streets. Hopefully, well, I mean, we've just pulled off a triple overtake. I wouldn't mind having another double overtake if we can get close enough to the pair of them, but obviously the racing point incredibly slippery down the straight, always has been, always will be, and yeah, AlphaTauri doesn't exactly have bad top end around here either. As we head down towards the first corner once again, Perez having a look up the inside of Danny Kvyat. We almost go into the back of him somehow. Danny Kvyat really slow on the apex there, actually cost Perez a bit of time as well, and that's an accidental double overtake around the outside. We are making moves. At 13 now at the halfway stage of this Grand Prix. A big train of cars just in front of us. As what is George Russell doing there? I mean, if we can try and capitalise on this, I'll certainly try it. But yeah, Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris and Esteban Ocon on the alternate strategy against George Russell and myself, who are battling it out for podium positions. Round the outside we go on George Russell. And I don't know what strategy these guys are on, actually. I say that. They might be trying to go... I think these guys are going to have to pit again before the end. But yeah, I've really got no idea sort of where everyone is in this Grand Prix, apart from our teammate Lewis Hamilton, who is romping away once more into the lead, just like he did at the start of this Grand Prix. But we're in George Russell, hopefully we're going to be past Carlos Sainz as well rather soon. Carlos a bit slow as we head down the hill here. Can we try and get a run out of the final corner once more? Getting a nice bit of traction. Won't try and sit in too much dirty air, but it's a little bit difficult to avoid it through that final corner. But there we go, Sainz, a bit of a wobble on the exit of the corner there, so hopefully he's going to be a bit of a sitting duck as we head back down towards the first corner. The ICE is certainly wearing quite badly as well at the moment, but around the outside of Carlos Sainz. Coming to the end of lap 14, we've got Esteban Ocon and Lando Norris just in front of us there as we go for a nice double lock-up through the final corner. Both of these guys, obviously former race winners in the My Team career mode. Lando Norris obviously won Season 1 Spanish Grand Prix there, became the first man to stop Ferrari. And then Esteban Ocon won the Season 2 British Grand Prix. We've had quite a lot of winners when you think about it on F1 2020. But Esteban Ocon into the pit lane here as we try and make a move work on Lando Norris. Nice to see Hamilton is on the mediums as well here. So we're on the same strap, but round the outside of Lando Norris, it's now a British 1, 2, 3. And George Russell in 5th place as well there. But Hamilton 8 seconds up the road. We're really going to have to try and push and see if we can close down some of this gap.
Push hard on the in-lap.
There we go, first lap in clear air, and we set a new fastest lap of the Grand Prix there. A few tenths taken out of Lewis Hamilton. I would love to see if we could finally win our first race of the season here, but we've got to remember we are in a big championship fight. Sorry, with Mercedes and Red Bull, so we cannot afford to drop any unnecessary points as well. There we go, end of lap 17. Hamilton into the pits with 9 laps to go here from Azerbaijan. We're going to try and get these tyres to lap 20 and then try and get on some softs to the end of the Grand Prix. But I'm still really intrigued to see what McLaren are trying to do at the moment there, as George Russell now does make it a British 1, 2, 3, 4, albeit only for a brief moment before Hamilton drops into that pack. So that is certainly not going to help our teammate either here at the moment, so at least we can try and keep close tabs on him as well. But if Lando Norris is going to the end, he has got a very good chance of making it a McLaren victory here today. Our 4th different team in 8 races would be quite sensational here on F1 2020, as well as our 6th winner in 8 Grand Prix. But there's only so many more different people that can win races before me, where it just hurts inside. There we go, start of lap 19. Carlos Sainz into the pit lane, so I think McLaren are not quite going to be able to get these tyres to the end of the race there. But that now means Hamilton is back on our relative, but he seems to be stuck behind Sergio Perez at the moment, so I've really got no idea who's trying to get to the end and who isn't here. No idea as well why Hamilton has gone onto a set of the hard compounded tyres for the remaining few laps of this Grand Prix. But anyway, let's focus on our own race. We're going to be pitting the end of the next lap. Well, it's been a valiant effort by McLaren late on in this Grand Prix, but they're not quite going to be able to get those tyres to the end of the race there. Hamilton back up into the podium places, just 12 seconds behind myself there. But I think George Russell is trying to get to the end, as well as Sergio Perez. So still definitely podium scraps. Where are we going to fit into all of this? There we go then, end of lap 20. We're about to find out where we're going to rejoin in this Grand Prix. The tyres have held up quite well, but they're definitely not going to make another 6 laps to the end of the Grand Prix here. So we're going to bolt on a set of softs and just try to fly to the end of this Grand Prix then. Nice and tidy once again into the pit lane. Here comes George Russell and Lewis Hamilton here. If they can battle it out, maybe help us just a little bit. We're about to see him fly past us through the first corner, and we're going to have to be on it. Why are they changing the front wing? It's not... I don't get F1 2020 at times. It's left on auto. Why was it on yes? I'm an idiot. We get a warning for crossing the pit exit line as well, but that's 6 seconds down the drain with 6 laps to go here. That, I don't know what to say. I think I made a boo-boo, but that might just have cost us at least the shot of a race victory here. But we can't give up yet. We got to focus. We got to push and see what we can get out of the car still. Come on, out of the final corner. 5 laps to go here from Azerbaijan. We're all over the back of Lance Stroll. This should be a fairly textbook move on the racing point, especially as he has no DRS to the outside of the Canadian there. Make sure we don't run out of DRS as well here as we head back down in towards the first corner. And yes, we're now comfortably back up into P6 of the Grand Prix. But still, we've got about 5 seconds to the next group of cars up the road. I think we're over a second a lap faster at the moment. Looking at the gap to Alex Albon just in front of us, safe to say we're definitely more than a second a lap faster than the guys in front there. Pretty much 3 seconds taken out of Albon as we set another new fastest lap of the Grand Prix. I'm not giving up until the checkered flag here. 4 laps to go from the Baku City circuit. Once we get to cars, we're going to have to fly around them. We cannot afford to get held up behind anyone between now and the end of this race. Of Alex Albon as we head up towards the top of the hill through the old part of the city. I don't think we're going to be close enough to go for anything. Down in towards the next corner. Oh, we do try. Albon there makes a mistake, makes a hash of it, and we do make the move work in the end. Up into P5 of this Grand Prix. Can we get close enough to Sergio Perez for some DRS as well? I think we have just about done so. So that is even more critical in this Grand Prix. 3 laps to go. Perez bottles it as well through the fast chicane there. So that is going to give us hopefully a bit of an easier run at him. As we head down towards turn 1 here. We're just going to run out though of ERS. But we are going to be close enough to go for a bit of a send in towards the first corner. Up the inside of the Mexican. And we're up into P4 here. Bottas next up the road then for P3. Shouldn't be too long before we're around him as well. Bottas so slow as we head through the middle sector here. Hopefully we can try and get a run on the Mercedes. Bottas goes defensive on us. We'll have a look to the outside. Very, very aggressive from the Finn, but we do make the move work around the outside before we get into the castle section, up into the podium places once more in this Grand Prix. But Hamilton, 6 seconds up the road here. George Russell, 3 seconds up the road. We're going to need a miracle here, but we're not giving up. As we head through the castle section here, hopefully we can try and get past the Mercedes man as we head through the old town for the penultimate time in this Grand Prix. Maybe we can try and force an error just like we did on Alex Albon on the Mercedes. No, not quite close enough. Is it even worth trying to go for something now in towards the final couple of corners? No, we'll just wait for the DRS and hopefully then move ourselves back up into P2 of this Grand Prix. But I can't help but think, what could this have been had I not bottled the pit window there? How on earth did I manage to accidentally click yes to a new front wing here? I've got no idea, but 1 lap to go then here from Baku around the outside of George Russell there, back into P2 of the Grand Prix there. Hamilton 4.5 seconds up the road. I think we're going to need at least one miracle to try and close up this gap to our Mercedes teammate, but we're not going to give up just yet. We need to try and get a bit of a window over George Russell as well. But Hamilton going quick on this final lap. He has absolutely dominated this race weekend, though there is no denying that. Pole position, not obviously going to take fastest lap unless he pulls out an absolute worldie on this final run around the circuit, but he has led most of the Grand Prix throughout the safety car windows. He got through cars strategically and decisively, and that's obviously been key as well. And the 100 rated Lewis Hamilton, I'll be honest, a lot of you have said he's been a real letdown so far this season. And I can't help but agree on the most part. He hasn't even been in the championship battle so far this year. He has had 1 race victory to his name, and it looks like today he's about to make it 2 as we head through the final couple of corners of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It's a bitter pill to swallow, though, for ourselves. Had we not changed the front wing, I reckon we could have won this, I'll be honest. But we're going to have to wait another race weekend to try and get our first race victory of the season, though. This result will put us back up into P2, though, overall in the World Championship, behind Valtteri Bottas. We're only going to be a couple of points behind him as well there. But through the final couple of corners, Hamilton is going to make it his 2nd race victory of the year. There is 2nd for the team as well. They're very, very happy with that. Mercedes got a 1-2 last weekend, but we come back swinging here in Baku, and it's going to be a 1-2 for the team, the full 44 points. We can't complain.
Yes, that's a podium. Excellent drive. The team have worked especially hard this weekend, and this is a fantastic reward.
And so ends another Azerbaijan Grand Prix, a fascinating race and a well-deserved victory. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
Well, I'm thoroughly exhausted after the excitement of that race, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to our drivers here. They've worked hard to make it up there, and it's great to see them make their way out onto the podium. So let's review the updated driver's standings. Valtteri Bottas takes the top spot. He's our new Drivers' Championship leader after today's result. Mercedes move to the top of the table. Meanwhile, Renault move up the table with another strong performance this weekend. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. They fought so hard and had incredible pace at times, so I don't think anyone else did a better job today.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
Well, there we are then, guys, the end of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And Hamilton makes it the second win of the year for both himself and the team. But when? When are we going to get this race victory? That's all I want to know at the moment. George Russell comes through just behind us in P3, making it a British 1-2-3. It was quite a regular combo last season, and despite two of the drivers changing teams, it's still happening here on F1 2020. Bottas fourth ahead of Perez. They've done a fantastic job for Racing Point there, but Red Bull, certainly not a track that suits their car, still 6th and 12th at the end of the day there. Lando did well for McLaren. They really utilised that safety car well in the end, ahead of Stroll, Ocon and Carlos Sainz. And yeah, Ferrari, neither of their cars getting into the points as well. There, Gasly from third on the grid must be gutted to finish P13 as well, but no other major surprises at the end of the day. Obviously, Nick de Vries, the one man not to get to the checkered flag. Championship-wise, though, like I said, we're back up into P2, 1 point behind Valtteri Bottas at the end of the weekend there. Albon drops back down to P3, 7 away now, with George Russell still fourth. Hamilton moves himself back up into championship contention there, 25 points off his former teammate as well with that race victory there, jumping Daniel Ricciardo, who obviously scored no points there. Perez leapfrogs his way all the way up into 10th place ahead of Lando Norris there, with Stroll getting the better of Kvyat and Ocon as well further down the field there. And constructors-wise, though, we move ourselves back up into P2. They're 6 points off Mercedes, but Red Bull just dropped 25 back after the 8th round of the World Championship. Renault jump AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo jump Williams as well at the rear of the field. But thank you all so much for watching. Do make sure you get yourself subscribed for more of our F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. Yeah, we'll be back very, very soon for round 9 of the season. Can we finally get this dub? We'll be back for Canada. You guys do not want to miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.